It's Flepaster here again with a new guide. And this time I'm starting a new guide series where I show a build on all maps against all factions. And this might take a while because I need to collect the replays. But we are starting with Boneyard, which is the first map where I happen to get replays against all factions. So I'm going to show you first a build against a Vanguard, then a build against an Infernal, and then a build against Celestial, all on the same map. And more similar videos on other maps will be coming in the future when I get replays. So let's start with Infernal versus Vanguard on Boneyard. So I'll be explaining what to do basically, especially in the early game, but also overall tactics and what to watch out for using real games. So first of all, you are making just imps and sending out your hexen to collect flowers. So on this map I will take the flower here, and then I will go for the flower here and also scout and then adjust from there if I don't need to teleport back before that. And I'm going to be going up to 11 workers meanwhile. And then I will be making a shrine here. I'm just ignoring the dog while I'm going about because I'm healing anyway with the flowers. So with 11 workers I'm going here to make a shrine to expand. And after that I'm going to be making one more drone, and then I'll be making an iron vault. And I'm also making it here, and I usually try to kind of block this entrance so that I have at least one of the two entrances blocked. It's a bit hard to defend this map with the two major entrances, but you can still do a lot. So I'm seeing that he doesn't have an expand, so he's not playing very greedy. It's kind of standard opening. I took a lot more damage than I usually do here, so I need to be a bit careful with my hex, and I'm going to go pick up the flower from here to heal up. And then I went up to 12 workers. No, never mind. Of course I'm making a meat farm. And on this map I'm making it near my main production because there's a good chance of some run-bys. So it's gonna help there. Because, like I said, there's two major entrances to your base. And I'll be going up to 12 workers on the Luminite here before I will take two of them from the middle nodes and send them on the Ethereum. That's my usual game plan. Oh, and I'm making second iron vault. This is not something I always do, but it's an option. Especially if you scout that there's no early expansion, so there's a good chance that they're going to be making something very aggressive. So second iron vault doesn't hurt. And then we'll take our first camp, the healing camp of course. So like I said, I took my first two workers from the middle nodes here, which is the resource boosting technique I talked about before. But if you don't do it, then just go to 12 workers and then start rallying to the Ethereum. So basically my game plan at this point is to just get a few units to take these maps without dying to some early aggression. When I get a bit more money I will also be expanding here, and then I will go up to fast tech tier 2 with the Ethereum I'm mining, and we make a very tier 2 unit heavy army against Vanguard, which is my usual approach. Meanwhile the enemy has expanded, but of course we don't know that. But he is going for bio like we expected. So we are taking our other camps. The vision camp is usually priority, so you will have some advance warning if some enemy hit squad is arriving. And we got our Crater Shrine now. And when the Crater Shrine starts, I will usually also make a Conclave, so that I will have the option to make Weavers if I need them to counter something. For example, a Vulcan Rush or Fast Exos. And after shooing away the dog, we are taking our third base while continuing the creeping. Nothing too special to that. Because the opponent hasn't been very aggressive, I'm kind of afraid that there might be some mech push coming, but that is not the case this time. But even if there was, I would be fine with my Conclave option. And I'm getting a fast Twilight Spire because our game plan is to always go to fast tier 3 against Vanguard for the tier 3 upgrades. Which is when you can actually fight the Vanguard army. Before tier 3 you can only like buy time pretty much. And since I saw that he hasn't taken the Vision Camp yet, I'm going to see if I can steal that from him. That would be very nice. Looks like my one Fiend distracted him a bit, so luckily I will actually be able to attack this camp. Meanwhile, he is going for my expansion, and that's pretty bad timing for me. My Tower Terror is not finished yet, so I will not be able to reinforce it. Even though, I mean, I don't have Animus either, so I will need to cancel this. Maybe in the base we will see. No, I did not cancel the base. Now let's see if I can save it. Of course, since I saw the mass... if you see Mass Lancer, like that's actually a bit surprising. I was expecting Exos or something, but if you see Mass Lancer, then of course what you want is Magmadon. And since I have 2 volts now, I will be able to make them pretty easily. So I'm just guiding these while I'm leaving the one Magmadon here to protect my base because Lancers are too fast for my units. And he might double back, which he actually did. And I have another Magmadon coming here. Basically, just Magmadon Brute is pretty fine against this unit composition. And the goal here is just to keep this base alive. Meanwhile, you are buying time for your tech. And my zombie pies are going shooting away, but I didn't notice that there's a few more Lancers rallied here, which is doing some annoying damage. While I'm chasing this mass of Lancers. But anyway, against Lancers, ultimately you're not gonna have any trouble. Because you can just stomp them away. Like, they can be annoying, but they can actually kill you because they can't really fight Magmadons. I'm just kinda hoping to get to my 50 animals so I can use that to save that base while I'm dealing with this squad. But I'm also starting to see some Exos now, which is good to know. So I will need to diversify this a bit. Looks like I might be losing this base unless I can save it with the tower, let's see. Meanwhile, I killed a lot of units here with the Exos. One of them is probably gonna die here, but it kills one more Lancer, that's very nice. And looks like I managed to save the base as well. So that's my general plan. Next I'll want to go, of course, Elder Shrine. And if you see much heavy bio, then getting some Spriggan is also a good idea. That's why I got the 2 Twilight Spires, so we'll be able to make those later. And now we're going for our Elder Shrine. So I managed to keep my 3rd base alive. I have some tech units. I'm in a pretty good spot. The room is of course a bit tight, so I'll want to expand more, both here and here probably. And we are just like defending, creeping, building our tech. I'm not gonna attack the enemies until I have tier 3. I generally don't recommend it. It's very hard to attack into Vanguard base without some very heavy tech, because they can just kite you inside their base, which is even worse than kiting here on the field. Because they also have defensive tower abilities, pop overcharge and so on. It's hard to do damage in their base. That's actually an easy way to throw a game, by attacking before you have your tier 3 upgrades. So generally avoid doing that. Of course you can do harass and so on, but don't commit your army to a fight. Now we can also make Spriggans. And our tier 3 finishes, so I usually prioritize the Hellborn upgrade. There we go, Molten Touch. Because once you have that, you are actually gonna be dealing so much more damage to bio, so that's usually like your end goal. You'll want like a meaty army in the front and 2 Hellborn in the back optimally. Of course you can make more Hellborn later when you're super rich, but 2 will do at first. And a couple of Spriggan is always nice to add for that slow. At this point you can start to feel pretty good about the game. Getting some expansions up as well. You can always use your, if you have extra Luminite, just use it to expand, that's always a good idea. Making more brutes or guns usually doesn't help you, so just use the money on economy instead. And I do have plague access for gaunts, which is a good idea if you see bio or hedgehogs. But I've only made like 1 pair of them, because they're really there only to give you infest on the enemy army. You don't need to make more of them. And Raidstone is always very good on your advanced base, where the enemy is most likely to attack, because it's super effective at defense. So as you can see, we are just slowly building our tech army while getting the upgrades. Getting the Zombie Boy upgrade now as well. And improving our economy. So slowly our army is both getting better and growing, while we are getting our tech up and our economy is getting bigger. So it just gets safer and safer for us the longer the game goes on. Now the enemy is coming, and he has added the Vulcans to his bio army. And even some Atlas, which is a weird combination, but I'm seeing it now, so I can start going that way. This is actually an unlikely place for him to attack, like it would have been more likely for him to attack here, but it is what it is. We can buy some time with the defenses we had in place while our army is arriving on the scene. And of course Brigands can start fighting the advanced units because they don't shoot up. But you don't want to overextend into the Exos. Well, in this case I guess it was fine because I saw he only has like 4 Exos, so I have enough Spriggans to fight them. But generally you have to be a bit careful not to overextend with them. And if they don't have enough air defense, you don't really need to be worried, because you know that you will eventually clean this up. So you can see that was a very good fight for me. I lost like 10 supply and enemy lost like 60 supply. Just because I have like all tech units instead of the usual tier 1 trash units. There's still a few units fighting here as well, so we'll go wrap it up. If you see that the enemy is making any hornets, then adding a few shadow flyers to support your Spriggan is a good idea, because Spriggans can't fight hornets. But if they have a few shadow flyers with them, then they can. Because of the huge armor debuff that the shadow flyers give. I'm not in a rush to finish this up because I know I'm in a great spot, so I'm just rebuilding up that battle. Getting more units. And I'm waiting for my tech to finish. Now I have tier 3 Magmaron upgrade, so I can actually start pushing. Like ideally you want to have at least like 5 Magmarons when you're pushing into the enemy. And 2 Hellborn. And if there are Vulcans, then adding some Beavers is good as well, but you don't really need them if you have a lot of Magmaron, because they can also deal with Vulcans. And Weavers are a bit slow to move offensively, but it's always a good idea if you can afford them. Here I've added a few beavers. And now I see that the enemy has brought out helicarriers because of this bombing run. So of course I can instantly jump on them with my spree guns. I just ignore the exos, they don't do that much damage to air units, so I'll just focus on taking down this. While the rest of my army is getting here. And now the rest will be very easy to handle. The reason I usually take this as my third base, interesting notice it has like no workers at the moment. I guess it died at some point, I didn't even realize. But yeah, the reason I usually take this as my third base is that it's a longer distance from the enemy base, so even though it's also a bit far to defend, it's less likely to get attacked. Like if you put it here, then the enemy Lancer rally or whatever bio rally there is gonna be super efficient and they can like force you to fight here, but if it's all the way here, then they have a long way for the units to go, so it's kinda easier to reinforce. Especially after you connect it with the creep highway. And you can see I'm building my magma to some ridiculous number. And it looks like I was also waiting for my dragon. Like if you see that your animus is getting to like close to 150, then you might as well save up for a dragon before you actually attack, because it's gonna make it safer. It's a good support unit. And now I will probably attack and finish off the game, that's the plan at least. I have a massive tech army with all the upgrades. And because I've taken both of the edge bases, I know that he must be on very bad economy, so I'm not worried in any real way. Taking the vision camps is always a good idea, so you see what's around. Like for example, in this case, you see that there's some very exposed troops here, so I can just jump right on top of them. And that should do it. So basically, against the Vanguard, you are just patient. Next, against Infernal. There we go. My opening against Infernal is pretty similar, but there's a few differences. Of course, I'll first send out my Hexen, but this time I'm not concerned with taking the healing flowers on my side. I just want to get scouting info and take the healing flowers on his side, which is gonna slow down his creeping. But I'm doing the same opening of going to 11 workers and then going Shrine expand. And I'm just moving, usually I'm just moving instead of attack moving, so I don't get delayed when I run into the enemy Hexen. I start shooting that instead of scouting what the enemy is doing. So 11 workers, we send out our imp to expand. And I will pick up the healing flower here so that the enemy won't be able to use that. There we go. Because I was moving, I actually missed it. This imp, I could have harassed that, maybe even killed it. But not that important. So then I went to 11 workers again and going vault. And then I will want very quickly a conclave and a meat farm. instead of just going 1 volt, because enemy is always gonna be going conclave iron volt basically. So if you try to go with 1 production facility, you're just gonna be way behind. So you need both of them. So I saw that it's the usual opening of 1-1 conclave iron vault and no expansion. So I can expect some aggression. And I'm making my meat farm here actually. And I'm planning to go here very fast because I don't want the enemy to get my vision camp. At least for free. That's a very important strategic location in this matchup. It also gives a lot of money. So to save some time, I'm going to be using imps to take the health camp, even though Iron Vault is also finishing, so it doesn't save me that much time, but it's still something. And after this I will want to go to vision camp almost right away. Because usually the enemy will take their vision camp and then come straight for your vision camp. Because from the camps they can see that you didn't go... I mean, he already knew that they went to expand first, so he has faster units out. So now I'm just prioritizing making some units, while also very slowly boosting my economy. And here I need to be careful to not get surprised by the enemy troops, so... But I also don't want to waste time. I had some micro issues here, don't worry about that, it was not intentional, so don't read anything into that. But yeah, I'm happy to see that I managed to take this camp. Just barely. And now I can also use this meat farm here defensively, because it's gonna be giving me some hogs. That Skullback was unfortunate. But yeah, this is a good place to fight as long as you can. And I'm doing pretty good defensive fights around this. This Hawk is helping more than you would think. Even though it's not enough to save me at this point. The enemy is also not stopping to kill this. Which means it's still kind of helping me, because there's gonna be more hogs coming here. And it's even going to steal this back from me, this vision camp. So this is very important to remember defensively. If the enemy is super aggressive, and you opened 1-1 and he opened 1-1, but of course you went expansion first, you will have less units, sure. But you can always use your resurgence ability defensively on the Iron Vault or the Conclave to get 3 more units out basically. And I just did that for 3 more brutes, because I have better economy, I can actually afford that, while the enemy can pretty much just support the production of these 2 buildings. So those are helping me a lot here. Like I managed to push the enemy back for now. And often this is the end, when you can hold once. But this enemy is actually very committed, more so than usual, and he's just sending more and more units. More than I expect. And I don't have Blake access yet either, he's going for that, or already has it. Which makes these defenses very tricky. Brute is, even with poison access, Brute is still very good against Gaunts, because it has so much more health, and also you get 2 fiends out of that, and the enemy only gets 1 fiend even when they kill it with Infest. And of course you can always use Imps defensively as well. They are very useful in these low unit number situations. And usually this would be the end, but the enemy is still actually very super committed. I don't know it at this moment, but he's actually one-basing me, like it's a very all-out build from him. So I also made a Strode Stone here, which is gonna help me. And I'm finally going for my Plague Access, even though it's super late. I've just been buying some time around this meat farm, it's been serving me very well. I have much better income at this point, but of course the enemy has the advantage of the plague access, which means I can't really fight him without having some brutes in the front. And this time he's coming into my main, which is a bit more dangerous. This tower is not gonna help me with that. I'm finally gonna get my Plague Axe production on the way, but it's still a long way off. So this push is very dangerous because it could snowball with these making more imps. Luckily my boots can get on top of the gaunts, like that's basically what you want to do. Focus on the gaunts, then he can't infest you. And imps can still help fight even in this situation. I still have one base mining here, so it's fine to take one base of mining for a while. I'm also adding more production now because I'm realizing that the enemy is super committed and I just need more units. Here I'm just basically buying time. Trying to keep the enemy away from my base. I'm forcing him to keep making units as well. And meanwhile, while I'm doing that, I'll take my third base. And now I can make more and more units, including Magmanons, because I have my tier 2. So getting tier 2 in this matchup is important, but it's not the highest priority in the very early game, because at first you just need units. Then if you're not immediately dying, then you want to get tier 2 for your Magmanons as fast as possible. Losing the Magmanon, of course, is not great, but looks like it didn't even die yet. But yeah, at this point my army is just starting to get better, while at the same time I'm starting to be on 3 base against 1. So... But this kind of aggressive openings are very common in Infernal vs Infernal, so I hope this has been useful in showing you how you can hold it by using all the tools available to you. And there we go, it's a win because I was actually surprised at this point, but later it made sense when I realized he's still on 1 base. So yeah, of course, it's basically over at this point. So lastly, let's see the build against Celestial on Boneyard. Oh. Looks like it's the wrong replay. Let's see if the neighboring one is the correct one. If not, I'll need to cut this, but... Or did I open the correct one? Let me just confirm. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that small delay. Nope, right map, but wrong opponent. So I guess I will cut this. Now where is that Boneyard Celestial game? Very weird. So yeah, lastly, let's see a game against Celestial on Boneyard. This one is the most different one, and the build against Celestial is kind of different on each map. So that's why I originally want to make this series where I show each build against each matchup on each map, basically. So this time I'm just ignoring the flowers and going scouting with my Hexen. I'm still doing the same opening of 11 worker shrine into 11 worker vault. But it's pretty much just the early game that's the same. Here we go. Like, the expected result is that there is something going here. If you see production, it's usually fine, like, then you are less worried about some proxy. And you can do a bit of annoyance by triggering the healing camp in the enemy base. I usually fight the prison just to trigger the healing to use some of their energy before going back. And here we are going after Iron Vault. We are gonna be going. We are gonna be taking the health camp, but we are taking the conclave as well. Like basically same 1-1 opening as against Infernal. And as for the meat farm, I usually put it here on this map because this is a popular proxy location. You don't want them to be building in the back of your base. So if you have a meat farm here, then that won't surprise you. And on this map there's basically two freebie bases for a Celestial player. This and this, like they're island bases and you don't have vision there, you can't go there. So they can just take those for free and you can't even harass them for a while. And what do you know? This guy was actually planning to proxy here. So it's a good example of exactly why you want a meat farm here. And I'm also scouting around a bit with Fiends to see if there's a proxy, like sometimes they proxy here, sometimes they proxy here, so those are two places I check with Fiends that I get from the health camp. Checking for proxies is a higher priority than taking the camps at this point. But I saw that there's nothing immediate. I might have also seen that he tried to come here and failed. But now I cannot take some camps. And I will also want to expand here fast. And you will want fast plague access. You don't need super fast units, but you need to get your production up, and you need to get your tech up against Celestial so that you can start pumping units when it matters. So once I have 50 Therium, I will want to start the Conclave. For plague access. Well, this time I messed up and made more units instead. And my Fiend also discovered this proxy here, so of course I'll send all my units there. And that probably distracted me enough to delay my plague access, which is unfortunate, but basically you would want to only have a Conclave on the way at this point. And I made tier 2 so that the priority for tier 2 is like two things. You need for, if you're getting proxied, then getting Hellboard is super important. But also you may need fast Spriggans, and for that you also need tier 2. And now I'm finally starting my Ritual Chamber, not Conclave, Ritual Chamber for the upgrades. But yeah, I already blocked one base here, so I'm in a good position. And I see that he's probably thinking about getting this camp, so I'm gonna be camping here instead. So that he won't be able to get the free siege unit. I'm just keeping an eye on it. He probably doesn't see that I have a unit here. So he's just gonna take this, I think. Yep. So that means I can actually take this camp for free. And get the siege unit. Now one thing you can do on this map specifically, when you have tier 2, you will want one Weaver, just because it gives you vision up to these bases, so you can check for arrays there and destroy them. And now I'm just following this tank, because I saw it goes this way, so I figured there's an expansion here, and that's of course correct. So I get the second base for free. That is starting to put me in a very nice position. And I've also tried to expand here, but my imp was apparently cancelled from building the shrine. That sometimes happens for reasons unknown. So that may take me a while to realize. Like I already thought I expanded here because I have the tower here and everything. The tank got a bit lost, but no worries. So yeah, Hellborn is always good to have because it helps a lot against buildings, and Celestial is very building heavy. So I usually don't really get Magmanons in this matchup. Since the tank tried to go here, I can see that he is here. So I will use a Skull to reveal it. So I can kill it. But yeah, getting like one Hellborn and one Weaver is usually your first tech units you want. If the enemy is going Sabers, then you want more Weavers, of course. So that's only 3 arrays down. I'm feeling very good about this game at this point. And I'm just following the tank, seeing if it's gonna give me some more freebies. But my actual army isn't that big, like it's not like super committed attack. I'm more so making economy behind this. I do have Twilight Spires, so once again I can go up to Spriggans. I just need to make the... what was that? Shadow Cleft. And the enemy does unfortunately snipe this. Well, he sniped basically everything I had, which is not great, but like I said, it's not a huge army, and I also saw his deck while doing this. And I killed some buildings, so it's all good. I'm in a great position in this game. So now I can get my deck on the way, Shadow Cleft, so that I can make Spriggans, which is very good against Sabers, and I know I'll also want some Beavers against this. Gaunt Beaver is the basic unit composition against Land Celestial, and once you add Spriggans to that, it becomes very strong. And my third base is running as well. I know I must have like a good economical advantage after destroying 3 arrays. And indeed, the enemy is he's only starting on his 3rd and 4th array now, which equals like 2 base, so he's still gonna be behind me. There we go, we have a ritual cleft, so we can also start adding Spriggans to our army. And we have our Elder Shrine upgrade. For your tier 3 upgrades, you basically want this for the Molten Touch for your Hellborn. That's super good against all land armies, but especially Celestial. Magmaron is not that important this matchup, so you don't really care about those upgrades. You can basically just make Gaunt, Beaver, Hellborn, maybe with some brutes in there. And Spriggan, of course. So I expected there might be an array here, and that was correct. But that's already the 4th array I kill in this game. So while I'm making my upgrades, I'm just taking the camps down. I have like very good vision here, so there shouldn't be big surprises. And I'm also expanding in here, which is my 4th or 5th base, depending on if you want to count this. I've been getting requests from players for more build orders, so I hope this is gonna be useful for showing you a build against all factions on the same map. And like I said, I will be posting a similar guide on all other maps once I just gather the necessary plays. This just happened to be the first set of 3 that I finished. And I'm kind of surprised to see that there is no array here, so that means I'm in a better position than I thought because the enemy's income is lower than I thought. So I figure I can just keep pushing. As you can see, my army is pretty much just Gaunt, Hellborn, and Beaver. They should be easily able to handle this army. And, well, even without looking at the supply, then you can kind of see that the game is over at this point. But yeah, that's basically how you play against Celestial on this map. So the points to consider are key spaces, which may not even be heavily defended. They just rely on you not being able to attack them because you don't see up. So if you have a Weaver, remember that they see up, or you can use a Skull to reveal them temporarily. And it's also, you can also use Spriggans to take them if they have put like a lot of towers there. So, That's our first in the series. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in comments if you have any feedback on this. And there will be more of these in the future. For now, thanks for watching and peace out.